Yes, Junet, order. Order, honorable members. Junet, what is it?
Huh? Yeah. Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
I'll come to you. Yes. Order, members. Yes, Junet.
Mr. Speaker, Kaluma. Mr. Speaker, they normally say in Parliament, what you communicate is what is communicated and that is what is final. But I'm not sure whether this list is the same one, Mr. Speaker. We cannot change your records in Parliament, but we are really in doubt whether this is the real one. But we shall wait. Mr. Speaker, having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to speak on this matter and say this. Mr. Speaker, this time and this period in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell members, my colleagues, that vetting of this CSS is not going to be business as usual. This time, Mr. Speaker, and this time, Mr. Speaker, I repeat for the third time, if somebody is not suitable, if somebody is not capable, if somebody doesn't have the capacity, we are going to throw him out, Mr. Speaker. We must do justice to Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, and we must do our work properly this time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I participated in the vetting of the last CSS, Mr. Speaker. We know what people told us in that vetting, and we know there are people who have come back. If your records of net worth is not colluding or is not balancing, Mr. Speaker, just know we will throw you out of the window, not even the door. Mr. Speaker, the responsibility of making sure who is suitable and who meets the requirement of becoming a CS is vested in this House, Mr. Speaker, through the Parliamentary Approval Act.
Honorable Junet,
I'm finishing, Mr. Speaker.
You are a member of the vetting committee.
Mr. Speaker, I'm concluding, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is this House that is going to make sure it is this House that is going to make sure, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans get value for their money. It is this House that is going to make sure, Mr. Speaker, if you know brothers and sisters who have been nominated, if you know you don't qualify, please leave early before you come to this House. This time we will put you in front of Kenyans bare, Mr. Speaker. Bare, naked bare, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Kenyans are tired. And Kenyans are saying that they don't mind anybody becoming a CS. They want to have CSS in offices, but they want to have the right people who are qualified, Mr. Speaker. And we are going to do our constitutional mandate, Mr. Speaker, to make sure, especially for those who are in offices before and who have been brought back, you will see what we are going to do to you people, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I am prepared for the vetting committee tukutane na hiyo watu mundu kumundu.
Thank you. Yes, Kamket. Remember, honorable members, we don't debate communication such as this. Yes, Kamket.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while what you've read could be contradictory to what we heard the President announce, well, I would like you, Mr. Speaker, to confirm, indeed, that what you've read is actually what was communicated by the head of state. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I have heard the Honorable Junet threatening those cabinet nominees. The Honorable Junet, Mr. Speaker, while the bar must be raised high for anyone appointed to cabinet, Mr. Speaker, or any other public position, we do not also expect that we are going, or His Excellency the President is going to appoint angels into cabinet. So, in as much as Honorable Junet is here threatening those nominees, even him, Honorable Junet, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands And therefore, he must not stand here and threaten the careers of other Kenyans as if he's a very clean man. Even him, we know him also, Mr.
Order. There is no motion against him here. Yes, Sunguli.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the message that you have delivered, and I want to say that I'm sure that this time the list is very correct. And on behalf of the people of Narok, I want in advance to congratulate Honorable Soipan Tuya for coming back to a very important ministry.
Order, Sunguri. Order. Soipan is not a minister yet. She's only proposed. Kiborek. Order. Order, let's hear Honorable Kiborek.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to, Mr. Speaker, will it be in order for the House to revet those CSs who have been vetted by the same House previously? My second point, Mr. Speaker, is there is many rumors going around that there's a broad-based government, Mr. Speaker. Is there a possibility that Mbadi doesn't want to sit because maybe it will be something in the next coming days, Mr. Speaker? Maybe the arrogance has started getting to his head, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, or maybe the humility, because I know Mbadi is a very humble guy. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe Junet is an interested party, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Kiborek.
Mr. Speaker, I was asking, is it in order to revet those CSs who have been vetted before, Mr. Speaker? Lastly, Mr. Speaker, in the same House and the same Parliament to revet the CSs for the second time. And thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Honorable Kiborek. Under the Constitution and the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, everybody, whether they were in the dismissed cabinet or not, once reappointed, must be vetted by this House. In effect, the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act says the persons to be vetted include those appointed and reappointed. That is the law. So those who have been reappointed, of course, I've read in some public fora whether persons who have been reappointed after dismissal qualify to be so reappointed. Again, the answer is in the affirmative. Unless you have been dismissed for breaching Chapter 6 of the Constitution, unless you have been dismissed for violating the Constitution and being unaccountable in the management of public resources. The dismissal assigned no reasons for the dismissal, and therefore they are eligible for reappointment, and under the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, you will vet them and vote on their reappointment. Dr. Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Last time you nearly assaulted me on the chair because I didn't give you time to speak.
Thank you today.
I hope now it mitigates everything.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, what we are discussing is so important because it is actually the crux of the matter of what is happening in the country today. The ministers, the cabinet secretaries were dismissed from public pressure because due to public pressure, apparently, clearly, the public, going by what was happening, had actually lost confidence in the government. And when they invaded parliament, this was a loss of confidence and on Parliament and its credibility. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the process that is now reversing that must start in the most transparent way, without doubt, absolutely. Mr. Speaker, what the President announced is definitely different from what you have read to us. Mr. Speaker, at that point alone, the public will not really have confidence in what we are doing, unless probably the President came and first of all made the changes. He has the appeal to do that. But what the public knows of the people we are going to vet is actually what he announced. Now, what we are going to vet now is totally different. Mr. Speaker, what the people believe, whether they are right or wrong, is important. People act from their belief. And when they were running and attacking the National Assembly, it is arising from their deep belief that we do not represent their interest, we are not credible to them. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I find, and you really need to clarify this, why the list you have read to us is different from what the President read. We are starting from a very weak point on that basis alone, Mr. Speaker. We really need to preserve this country, and particularly this House. The challenges are going to be bigger. Leave alone the issue that you dismiss people and then you bring them back. The question is, why did you dismiss them in the first place? But leaving that aside, Mr. Speaker, that credibility is required. We should have the same list, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Dr. Nyikal, as a House of Parliament, we are a House of record. And the record we have is a communication from the executive of